hope this color isn't too off-putting with the rest of the colors. I know it's a lot of colors. Guys, look at how cute this is. It's a graded reader that I made from a TV show that I've been watching, and I made this. Well, a company printed it, bound it, and sent it to me, but look at that! Cute, there's little definitions at the bottom. And 大家好，欢迎来到我的频道。今天我们要对我的学习方法聊聊。But first, let's see what's on the docket today.
Oh wait, I don't use planners anymore.
Graded readers. I hope I actually didn't damage my book over there. Nope, I think it's good. A language learner's best friend.
Until their stories become boring and your motivation fades and you go down a spiral of non-productivity because you can't get yourself to read another book about a
Curly-haired Sherlock Holmes solving mysteries in town, but he's a child to make the vocabulary and grammatical structures easier for a beginner to understand. And no shade to Mandarin Companion. I love their books and it was amazing in the beginning of my learning, especially when I was building up my confidence and convincing myself that yes, I can actually read Chinese. But as I transitioned from beginner to intermediate levels, I saw a unique shift in my motivational structure. As a beginner, regardless of content, almost every type of material is motivating. You know nothing, so being able to read even just a small passage in a book is a huge self-esteem boost. You're actually learning. And that's why in the beginning stages, regardless of how boring they can be, we can still be super motivated by our textbooks. But I found myself in a weird place where I was getting better, graded readers were getting easier, but native content was still too difficult, what some would consider the intermediate plateau. So my first move was to use more challenging textbooks and challenging graded readers, which makes logical sense. And I don't know about y'all, but for me, everything on the Chairman's Bow, Do Chinese, or other online or even physical copy books were just so boring. I remember reading this one story about an ancient coin and another one about how the government was worried about school vacations. I may be wrong on that last one, but someone definitely got tilted about kids having a more balanced school life or something like that. And it got me thinking, why is it so hard for me to get through this graded reader when I'm checking all of the boxes? It's comprehensible. It's just a bit more challenging than my level. It has audio. It has a word bank. It's short. I can read it multiple times for that spaced repetition. And yet I still couldn't get myself to using it consistently. But I felt like I wasn't good enough to go headfirst into the sentence mining Anki workflow. As I got better, my motivation became more dependent on content. I had to enjoy the material that I was using or else I wouldn't be engaged. Gone were the days where everything motivated me simply because I knew nothing. But I couldn't find a steady stream of graded readers that I was interested in. And I really just wanted to go ahead with native content, even if it was technically too early. So what's a girl to do when they're both too good and too bad at the same time? Make your own material, make your own graded readers from content that you're already watching. What? How are you going to do that? You're not fluent. You're gonna make mistakes. Isn't that going to be too hard? Why do that instead of the traditional sentence mining to Anki pipeline? Basically, I'm getting the
best out of both worlds.
And I'm sure this isn't a revolutionary method that will change the language learning game, but I haven't really found many people trying to combine the great parts of a couple of different methods to suit our individualized language learning needs. Personalized language learning, that sounds like a sales pitch! But if I make my own graded readers from content that I watch, the motivation bit is already there because it's a show that I care about. You can choose what types of shows you transcribe to fill in vocabulary gaps that you see in your own learning, or learn specific things that you're interested in. The ease of graded readers is there because the vocabulary words are at the bottom of the page for easy reference. The intensive reading is there because you're the one going through a show, transcribing it, and creating that word bank at the bottom of each page. And handling ambiguity is there because as you go through your books over and over and over again, you get better at reading it and picking up things through context. You get the audio comprehension component from the TV show where you can either play it on its own for listening practice or play it while reading for an audiobook experience. For Chinese learners, most of our content is also available on YouTube. For those of you that hate Anki or are going through an Anki burnout, me included, you get that spaced repetition by just reading the book over and over and over again. Then repeat this with a new episode. You get a personalized study tool that you actually care about with native speech, including tone slurs, interjections, regional dialects, mumbling, motivation, comprehension, native audio. Wow, Bianca, that sounds amazing, but there has to be a drawback, or else everyone would be making their own grader readers. It's really hard, like sitting in front of a TV show, going second by second, transcribing sentence by sentence, looking up the majority of the words is really hard. It requires hours and hours of work just for one episode. My first book, which is episode 1 of Mingxing Dajun Tan, or Who's the Murderer in English, was 60 pages long with almost 550 unknown words. That's really hard to work through. 60% unknown words is definitely not the threshold anyone would consider comprehensible input. But as you keep reading, the percentage quickly decreases because you've already seen these words dozens and dozens of times just by making the book. You practice listening to the words by transcribing what you hear. You read the words when you double check your transcription. You type out the words and pinyin when you make the vocabulary list at the bottom of the page. You go through the book a few times, reviewing the words before you send it for printing. Once the book comes in the mail and you're ready to read with or without audio, it's already transitioned into more extensive reading than intensive reading. Yes, it'll be hard, but the more books you create, aka the more episodes you go through, the easier it'll be. And it'll get to the point where you'll only include specialized vocabulary to increase your spoken fluency. And I've been doing this for the last month or 2 months, and it's supercharged my learning because I'm just so invested into it. You get every learning component covered with just one learning tool. No more decision anxiety. And just look at how cute this is. It's just so nice to be able to pick up a book on the subway and read actual native material. And I just love looking at it. It's just so nice to read. And you don't even need to make a book. You can just read it as a PDF, which makes it even more convenient. But enough about my justifications for spending dozens of hours making one of these books. Let's see how I make them for those of you who want to do it. Okay, so here we have a screen cap of my screen because it's a screen cap. And I usually use multiple monitors for this, but I fit it all onto one screen for today's demonstration. On the left side, we have the working document in which I transcribe the dialogue from the video clip. That's all the way on the right. The middle panel is just a dictionary to quickly look up words. Now with some shows, you can download the subtitles, especially if you're viewing them from a website like Viki, which dramatically cuts down on the time it takes to transcribe. However, if you're looking for a show that's only on YouTube, like the advanced show that I'm making into Graded Readers or Who's the Murderer, you probably won't be able to find subtitles. So you'll have to do that transcription yourself, which is the biggest pain in the world. But luckily, the show that I'm doing as a demonstration is on Viki. So I can just download those subs, and I use this website called Downsub, and I'll leave the link in the description. Once I download the subs as a text file, I can just copy and paste that into my document manager, and the formatting will be all messed up, but you'll fix that when you actually go through the show. The document manager that I use is called Mello5, but any document manager will work. You just need something that will allow you to make footnotes easily. Word definitely has that option. I just got Mello for my PhD work, but you don't need to get another program. So once I have my text in place, the process is very simple. I click on the video, see what they say and who says it, and type it. I label new words in red and names of people in blue. For the purposes of the 2-episode graded readers that I'm sharing with you guys, I added any word that is HSK 4 or above as a quote-unquote new word, just to make it more standardized. You probably shouldn't be doing this if you're before HSK 4 anyway, but I'm not gonna stop you. And if you can tell, I also note who is speaking as if it was a script. This just makes it easier for me to keep track of individuals since I'm just putting spoken text. Novels usually have narrators or environmental cues to identify speakers, but we don't really have that. An easy way that I get all of the unknown words in a particular section is by copy and pasting a chunk into an online dictionary, and I use MDBG. This just increases my speed of adding new words. So I scroll through the list, and if there's any words that are unknown, I will go into my Word document, highlight it red, and then make a footnote with the Mandarin, pinyin, and definition. Copy, paste, and repeat indefinitely. And here you can just see me doing that, and you can kind of get a sense of how long this actually does take. An issue that can occur though is that since this is native content, you can come across slang or idioms or phrases that are common knowledge to native speakers but make no sense to language learners. And for this, I usually just look up the phrase on Google, but sometimes the meaning still doesn't make sense. For this phrase, the meaning is pretty understandable, so I can add that fairly easily. But oftentimes, it's much more challenging to figure out meanings, especially if you're talking about pet names or fan names. If you notice on the left side, word number 44 says corn. It took me much longer than I would care to admit to figure out that they were not in fact talking about corn, but rather corn was the name of this individual's fan club. Although that celebrity was never really mentioned by name in the show. Oh, the joys of common celebrity knowledge, I guess. But regardless, I figure out the meaning and ask a native speaker, aka my boyfriend, if I really have a problem on a certain section. And then I just keep going through the episode, and at the end I just like to note some of the stats and list the HSK breakdown, number of unknown words, etc. And you'll be able to see that at the end of the document in the 2 episodes that I posted in the description below. But yeah, that's how I've been making my books. That's all I've been doing study-wise. Just reading, listening, and making new books. And my schedule is pretty flexible, so if my head hurts, I read more instead of transcribing. But if I'm in a really motivated mood, I'll spend more time working through a new episode. I'm currently over halfway through episode 2, and I've been learning so many awesome words about airlines and some less awesome words about strangulation, because Mingxing Dajichan is a murder mystery variety show, but I love it. So why don't you try it out for yourselves and see what you think, and let me know what you think in the comments below, if it's beneficial, if it's too hard, if it's not worth your time, if you have a different method that you would recommend. Next video teaser. Answer in the comments below, what type of video is popularized in specific professions, particularly unique or online, to showcase details most people would not be interested in? Okay, bye.